Donald Harvey was an American serial killer who was born in Butler County, Ohio in 1952 and raised in Owsley County, Kentucky. He was a good kid that didn't socialize a lot and had good grades in school. He dropped out of 9th grade without any goals in mind. A couple of years later, Donald Harvey decided to start working in hospitals around age 18. His first medical job was at Marymount Hospital, where most of his murders occurred. During the death of John Powell, he was put as a suspect because he was present at the March 1987 poisoning of Powell and the deaths of many other patients that had mysteriously passed away. His lawyer said that Harvey should admit to all his murders in order to get a plea bargain and avoid the death penalty. Under questioning, Harvey admitted to killing more than 50 people throughout his life. What motivated him to think that he had the right to play God with the terminally ill people in hospitals? Were there any other factors? Well, some factors that might have an effect are the fact that he was molested as a child, teased and bullied in school, and was gay during a time when it wasn't accepted.
Donald Harvey believed he was acting as an angel when he worked at Drake Hospital in the 1980s. His job? It was a nurse's aide, treating patients, many of whom had terminal illnesses. A man with unlimited access. A man now known as the Angel of Death.
Donald Harvey's childhood was a tragedy and may have been the biggest contribution to why he did his murders. At about 6 months of age, Harvey's father dropped in on accident and had not looked to be injured, but his soft spot was not closed. Harvey later, at 5 years of age, had another incident involving his head in which he fell off a running board of a truck. He did not lose consciousness from this incident, but did leave Harvey with a cut that measured 10 to 12 centimeters long. Both of these incidents may have had a major impact on Harvey's aggressive inhibitions, as his amygdala, a part of his brain that helps control aggression, may have been damaged. From ages 4 to 20, Donald Harvey was sexually abused by his uncle Wayne whenever he visited his grandma. Later, he started to get sexually abused by his neighbor Dan Thomas and started to get paid by him. His trauma from his abuse and suffering may have led to his wanting to end the suffering of others and may have impaired his morale.
37 murders. Well, that's actually just the ones he was convicted of. And his weapons of choice? Cyanide, arsenic, and rat poison.
Bottom line was, Donald liked to kill.
William Whalen was Harvey's defense attorney, and before he died, he wrote a book about the case. Whalen says Harvey was molested as a child. He was shunned by children at school and gay during a time it was not accepted, going through life feeling powerless. But that all changed. One murder after the next, Harvey quietly filling up feeding tubes with the deadly chemicals. The deaths ruled accidental. The crime and Harvey undetected until 1987, when the body of John Powell wound up in the Hamilton County Coroner's Office.
Due to the events of his childhood, it seems like he killed people and ended their suffering because he himself has suffered and understood somewhat what they were feeling. He didn't have any methods or patterns of murder. He was nicknamed the Angel of Death and proclaimed that he was euthanizing his patients as an excuse for killing them. He killed people through arsenic, cyanide, insulin, suffocation, poisons, morphine, turning off ventilators, and administered fluids tainted with hepatitis B and/or HIV. His first kill was Logan Evans, and he used a sheet of blue plastic and a pillow. He also killed Helen Metzger because he thought she was a threat to his boyfriend Carl Hoeller. He later confessed that while he worked at Marymount Hospital, he killed at least a dozen people. He was convicted of 37 murders, and there are 40 to 57 estimated and 87 alleged.
If you had to describe yourself to somebody who didn't know you, what would you say about yourself, about the kind of person you are?
Well, even though everything that's happened, I consider myself a nice person, caring person.
You do?
Yes.
A compassionate person?
Yes.
Is there any meanness in you, any cruelty in you?
Only when provoked.
You elected to kill somebody. John Powell, for example. When you elected to kill him, how did you feel beforehand?
I was at that period of time, I was on medication and stuff, and I had got the cyanide to kill myself that time. That particular time, because I was on a prescribed drug and some other medication. And I didn't go there to kill him, but when I was there that morning, I just walked in. He was still alive and I gave him cyanide.
Was it a spontaneous thing you didn't think about beforehand?
Well, I didn't think he'd even be alive, but when I seen he was, that's when I made the decision to put him out of his misery. I have visualized myself being in that same position and laying there, suffering for years, and no one cared to come and see me or... Because most of the patients, that I have killed, have families, they come to visit at first, and then they continue, some of them. Now, they no longer visit. They have no one, and it's terrible to lay in day after day and watch these individuals. And that's why I put them out of their misery. Like I hope someone would put me out of my misery.
Tell me about your childhood. Would you describe it as a happy childhood?
Semi-happy.
Times when it was and times when it wasn't?
Yes.
Tell me about the part of it that wasn't good, if you can.
Being raised on a farm wasn't my idea of a happy setting. I preferred to have been raised in the city, but since my family lived on a farm, I was stuck. And being very effeminate acting and being a homosexual was not ideal for Eastern Kentucky.
No, I guess not.
And I knew there were other places to be where it was more acceptable, and it was a very Baptist oriented type community.
How about your family? Was your mom a good mother to you?
Yes, she was.
You have told some of the prosecutors that there was sexual abuse in your childhood.
Yes, there was.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, there was this one neighbor man that sexually abused me too. There was 2 people involved, but the uncle I will leave out for right now. But
can you tell us how long this went on?
With the neighbor man for about 13 years.
And how did you feel about it at the time?
At the time, I thought it was, I felt threatened. He said he would harm my mother if I didn't have sex with him. And it wasn't until later years that I realized it was only me he wanted to have sex with. He would never have done nothing to my mother.
Do you feel that experience, that sexual abuse, had an influence on you in any way you turned out?
No.
Do you feel that it's involved in any way in your killings?
No.
What do you believe in? Are you a religious person? Do you believe in God?
Yes, I believe you reap what you sow, but I believe God is a forgiving God.
You say you believe in God.
Yes.
Do you believe in Satan?
Yes.
The devil?
Yes.
Have you ever been involved in a religious belief regarding Satan, a religious worship of Satan?
At this moment, no comment.
I'll ask you another question along that line. Have you been interested in the occult?
Yes.
You know, when you left the VA hospital, they had found some books in the occult and Satanism in your bag?
Right.
Did your belief in the occult and Satan influence in any way your behavior, the killings for instance?
No.
It wasn't involved in that?
No.
Can you tell us why you killed?
I have spoken several times, to my lawyer and to the prosecutor. The ones at Drake, the 21 at Drake Hospital were mercy killings in my eyes. I know I have killed other people that weren't mercy killings, but the 21 at Drake were mercy killings. There were aversive events that might have caused his aggression, such as getting dropped as a baby and watching his parents be abusive to each other. His head injuries would have affected his amygdala, which controls emotions, one of those being aggression. Being sexually abused by his uncle and neighbor could have also led to his homosexuality. He was also raped by his roommate, Randy White, at age 20. This serial killer is a good example for why medical fields should be wary of who exactly should be hired to work in a place like a hospital. Let this be a lesson to those type of fields.